We are now in the last section 7, recommendations for the practice success. The exam syllabus here is to apply the recommendations for change enablement success and how they are supported by the ITIL guiding principles. The recommendations for practice success. First of all, most of the content of the practice guides, not only this practice, but even the other practices, they should be taken as suggestions of areas that an organization might consider when establishing and nurturing their own practices. When using the content of the practice guides, organizations should always follow the ITIL guiding principles which are listed here. And you know them very well by now, which are focus on value, start where you are, progress iteratively with feedback, collaborate and promote visibility, think and work holistically, keep it simple and practical, optimize and automate. This table here has the recommendations for the success of the change enablement practice. And these are linked to the relevant guiding principles affecting the approach the most. All guiding principles should be considered at all times, and their value is best realized through their combination, rather than just taking one guiding principle. So we will see here a total of 4 such recommendations. Well, not just 4, we will see, in fact, more than 4 here, because we have another slide as well coming up after this. The first one is to make sure the practice enables changes rather than restricting them. So what does it mean? The different types of changes, such as standard, normal, emergency, having different levels of impact, such as small, medium, and minor, and different levels of risk, they require different workflows in order to effectively and efficiently support the service value streams. Therefore, the change enablement practice needs to adjust to different circumstances and avoid a one-size-fits-all approach. So please remember this well. It is important to deal with the different types of changes in different ways. Therefore, we have different change models. However, remember also the principle, keep it simple and practical, therefore not to overcomplicate with too many types of changes. So in this, we actually have focused on the 2 guiding principles to focus on value and to think and work holistically. The second recommendation is to make sure the reasons for changes are understood by all stakeholders. And here the guiding principles are focused on value and to collaborate and promote visibility. Now, the clue for the collaborate principle is that we have several stakeholders who need to understand the reasons for change. Therefore, collaboration is definitely needed. And here, what it means is that not all changes are straightforward or appear as such for stakeholders. Even in smaller changes, make sure the reason for the change is clearly stated, communicated, and understood. The third recommendation is to make sure the success criteria are understood by all stakeholders. Again, because we have stakeholders, therefore, definitely the principle of collaborate and promote visibility is needed here. And because there are several success criteria, and there may be several dependencies, therefore, it is important to think and work holistically. And of course, focus on value is always relevant in the change enablement practice. But let's look at understanding this better. Especially in case of major or complex changes where outputs can be easily confused for outcomes, and that a change is carried out doesn't mean that the change has succeeded with respect to business value. Then we have that changes need to delegate authority when approving them. And this means there is no need to collaborate and promote visibility, to keep it simple and practical, to think and work holistically, and to focus on value. Which means that the change enablement requires many different types and levels of change authority with different levels of formality and different numbers of stakeholders involved for the approval of different changes. And we also know that the closer the change authority is to the work performed, the more visibility they have and the more effective and efficient the practice is. Now, remember, for the exam, you may have certain situation given to you, and you may have to pick up which recommendation is needed in such a situation. So, for example, if the change authority is always at a higher level, then maybe delegation of authority is needed in that organization to empower the people who are performing the work to review the change, as long as there is a peer review happening to protect from a risk perspective. Then we have another one, leverage automation capabilities as much as possible. Therefore, optimize and automate is definitely a key principle there, and also keep it simple and practical by doing that. So here, once the change has been authorized, any delay should be avoided. There can be a lot of back and forth between teams as they complete their change-related tasks. Therefore, automated tooling can help with workflow optimization and to minimize waste. For example, by presenting only relevant information for decision-making, visualizing the progress of changes, and pre-authorizing steps based on clear criteria. We have a couple more here. The recommendation, the first one on this slide is to clarify dependencies and design efficient integration. And it means to focus on value, to think and work holistically, to collaborate and promote visibility, and to keep it simple and practical. Changes often have dependencies to other changes. They're generally interrelated in some cases. Therefore, the business as usual work done directly or indirectly impacted teams which are doing it, and higher level decision-making processes, for example, business priorities, funding, and other resource allocation. Organizational, procedural, and technical dependencies should be clarified, which is also important for risk management. And integrations, both technical and procedural, should be designed with simplicity, efficiency, and value in mind. Lastly, we have do not unnecessarily increase the complexity of changes. So keep it simple and practical, focus on value, optimize, and automate. Here, the inefficient and misguided risk management can sometimes become a serious hindrance to value co-creation. The idea of the CAB, or the Change Advisory Board, as a change authority approving all changes might sound appealing when changes have gone awry in the past, but this is highly unlikely to serve its stated purpose. Remove any handovers, authorizations, and approval stages that are not strictly required. Involve all relevant stakeholders, but don't burden all potential stakeholders. So there are several recommendations here still coming up. Also, avoid or remove irrelevant bureaucracy. Adds sought after efficiency step by step. So start where you are. Progress iteratively with feedback. Keep it simple and practical. The past mishaps with changes might feel like an opportunity for a major redesign, introducing new layers for approvals, controls, and assessment. In many cases, however, the smarter way of approaching improvement is by removing inefficiencies in place step by step. Learn from experience and adjusting to the changing context. New ways of working, including workflows, processes, and procedures, cannot always be designed upfront. They emerge from tweaks to existing practices. Then don't forget the pre-authorization stages. Many organizations celebrate speeding up changes with the help of deployments and releases. On the technical side, moving from months to weeks or days. While this is a good reason to celebrate, the effects of such improvements are negligible when initial approval still takes months or years.